Today is July 23rd, 1997. The survivor is Berl Izikson. The interviewer is Ruth Meyer. We are in Brunswick, Maine, in the United States, and the interview will be conducted in English. You don't have to talk now. I do the talking for you. Hi, I'm Ruth Meyer, M-E-Y-E-R. Today is July 23rd, 1997. We are with Berl Izikson in Brunswick, Maine, in the United States, and this interview will be conducted in English. Mr. Izikson, let's begin by having you state your name and spell it for me, please.
My name is Berl Izikson, B-E-R-L-I-Z-I-K-S-O-N.
And your date of birth?
October 10th, 1920.
And what was the city and country you were born in?
Poland, Lodz.
Can you tell me your father's name, please?
My father's name was Joseph.
And when was he born?
Exactly, I would know, I think in the late 1800s. 1896 or 1895. Exactly, I couldn't tell you.
And what happened to him? Did he survive the war?
No, he was killed by Hitler.
And your mother?
My mother's name was Clara. The only thing what I know, my father used to tell me that she's 2 years older than he is.
And what happened to her?
The same thing, Hitler killed her.
Where were they killed?
I suppose they were killed in Lodz because like I told you, I ran away when the war started. And end of 39, exactly the date I couldn't remember, I came to Lithuania, and the city was called Kaunas.
Yeah. We'll get to that a little bit later. You had brothers and
I had
sisters?
4 brothers and I had a sister.
Tell me their names.
My second brother was Ephraim. The third one was Eli Sakna. And the fourth one was Aaron. And the youngest one was Reuben.
And your sister?
And my sister's name was Hannah.
And what happened to them? Did they survive the war?
No, they didn't survive, and I presume they were killed in Lodz.
I'd like you to tell me a little bit about life in Lodz as a youngster.
Oh, as a youngster, it wasn't easy. My father was, you can call it a butcher or a meat cutter. The life was very hard.
Did he have his own store, company?
Some kind of, if you call it a store. We used to butcher a cow, and whatever was left over, what they couldn't sell it, they used to bring it home. My mother was a good cook, so we didn't starve, but we didn't have no luxury either.
How did he buy the cow?
I buy the cow from the farmers or on the market. We was over there twice a week a marketplace. So the farmers who needed to sell the cows or a bull or a heifer, they used to bring it to the market. Or if not, he used to go on the farms and buy it from there.
And he could afford to buy?
No, it was a long story with this. He has to have partners to buy the cow. And then when they killed the cow, the people used to get it on credit. Some paid, some didn't have the money to pay. So it took months until they collected. When they had to go buy another one, they had to go borrow again. And that's somehow we survived.
Did your mother work or?
No, my mother had a full-time job in the house. She had to cook and bake and everything.
What kind of? Go ahead.
She used to cook and bake and wash the clothes, everything.
What kind of a woman was your mother?
To me, she was Queen Esther. was a nice woman to everybody.
And what kind of a man was your father?
Very nice man. He was a little bit nervous what he left through the war. He went through the First World War. And
Was he in the army in the First World War?
Yeah, he was in the army, the Tsar, what they call them, drafted him.
So, which army was he in?
In the Russian army. And then the Germans took him as a prisoner of war.
Did he talk about that?
Oh, it used to tell a plenty stories.
Yeah, do you remember any?
Not too much. And that one thing what I remember when in that night, when they took him as prisoners, Vasim Chesteya, that he used to tell me. I don't know how he remembered that Vasim Chesteya, I don't know.
Were you a religious family?
I would say so.
Tell me about Shabbos.
Nobody worked in my days on Shabbos over there. And in fact, as much as I know, now Jew did eat non-kosher. All of them eat kosher.
Did your mother wear a shidel?
And no, she wore till, what they call it. And you're talking about this, I lived in my father's mother's house for 19 years, and I never saw my mother without a till. A fatselke, they call it in Yiddish. That is titles in Yiddish.
So tell me about, what do you remember about sitting down to the Shabbos meal?
Well, Shabbos was like a feast. The whole week was so, but Friday night was like a going in some kind of movie. Everything was clean, nice. The candles was on the table. It was a feast every Friday night.
Tell me what you remember about the dinner. Did your mother bake a challah?
Oh yeah. Baked the challah, baked everything. Baked the challah, baked bread, everything gets it done.
And what was the meal on Friday night?
All depends what we had. Sometimes we had meat. Sometimes we didn't have meat, so they used to make anything for milchiks. Or a kugel, cheese, from cheese, making a lokskugel.
And did you go to shul?
Oh yeah. And after the meal was after shul, every Friday night.
Did everyone in the family go?
Oh sure, except the youngest, but they couldn't go.
Did your mother go?
My mother, no, my mother had to prepare to eat for us.
Do you remember how you felt going to shul with your father?
No, I felt like $1 million. We didn't know what's going to happen tomorrow. That was what we thought was, even we lived in poverty, we think we should never end the way we lived.
Did you feel secure as a child in Lodz?
No. Anti-Semitic was big. They used to holler, Jew, go to Palestine. They didn't know their name wasn't Israel. Go to Palestine.
Where did you go to school?
At school it was, actually I didn't go to school, I only went to Zaide. On that little education what I had my father hired a tutor.
Do you remember the name of the tutor?
It was all kinds, it was too many tutors to remember. They used to stay at, they call it as man. They call it as ban. He hired them for so many weeks, studying from after Pesach to the Jewish holiday. And then, I don't know, sometimes they didn't agree, or the other, we call him a Malamed. He used to go get a better job, so I couldn't remember their names.
Did the Melamed stay in your house?
Oh, yeah. Stayed in our house and we fed them.
For that amount of time?
So long he was with us, we fed him.
And how did that relate to the Cheder? Was that at the same time that you went to Cheder?
So the way it related a lot, but I didn't catch up in Cheder. He taught me it there.
Was he teaching you Jewish subjects or
Most Talmud and Hebrew, a little bit, and from Hebrew we learned a little bit the same alphabet is in Hebrew and in Yiddish.
Did you learn to speak Hebrew?
I learned a little bit, but I forgot now.
What language did you speak at home?
Yiddish.
And how long did you have these lessons, the tutoring? How old? You were how old?
I started when I was supposed exactly, I remember, when I was 4 years old. My father, may he rest in peace, took me to Cheder. And he wiped me with his studders. That I was exactly 4 years old. That I cannot forget.
And how did you feel that day?
I felt good. I was a child from 4 years, but I had to worry. I didn't have to worry.
Do you remember your bar mitzvah?
I remember my bar mitzvah, but we didn't make it big like you're making it here in this country. Oh, we had over there the family.
Did you have family who lived nearby?
Yeah.
Did you have aunts and uncles? Did you have grandparents?
Grandparents I don't remember, but I had uncles, aunts and uncles, where they lived near in the same city. My grandparents I don't remember. I remember my grandmothers, both of them. First, the grandmother from my mother's side died when I was about 6 or 7 years old. My father's mother, the grandmother, she died when I was about 14 or 15 years old.
Do you have any recollections of them?
Oh, they used to feed us.
Did they live with you?
No, they live separate.
Were they also in Lodge?
Yeah.
Can you describe your house?
Not much. Not much. But we were happy with it. That the main thing.
What did it look like? How many?
It's built from wood, from what do you call it? Not from boards, no, from the whole thing. Was not too high.
Was it, you were in a freestanding house, in a private house, or in an apartment?
No, private. And not too far from the house was a stable to keep our cattle that we had.
Was there a bathroom in the house?
Oh no, outside the house.
What was that like in the winter?
Was it? We didn't know anything better.
So tell me a little bit more about the life at home, all the brothers and sisters. What was the atmosphere?
In a way, we were happy. We had always somebody to fight, somebody to talk. We were happy.
Who were you closest to?
I was close to all my brothers. You see, and me, I am the oldest, so I had all the responsibilities.
Did you live in a neighborhood where there were...
Mostly Jewish.
Mostly Jews? What about the non-Jews in Lodz? Did you have anything to do with them?
We had to. We used to deal with them.
Did your father do business
Oh,
with them?
sure, because we had to do business, you see. When you're killing a cow, we got two parts. That front part is kosher. The other one is kosher too, but we didn't know how to take it out the veins. So we had to sell it to the Gentiles. We call it the hindquarters. So we had to do business.
And what was the relationship like?
All kinds. Some of them wasn't so good, but we had to take it.
Yeah. Did you belong to any clubs or organizations?
I only belonged to Beitar.
Was that in Lodz?
Begin's party.
Tell me about your involvement.
Oh, as kids we used to tell a story about Jabotinsky, about that stuff. And we hoped we'll go to Israel someday. And maybe meanwhile will come Messiah.
Did you believe in the Mashiach?
I still do. But he's not in a hurry. In my opinion, he should came to Dachau, but he didn't came. Now it's quite a few years, so he's still not here, but I hope he'll come.
Did you have any experience, or do you remember early experiences of anti-Semitism? You mentioned the yelling to go to Palestine.
As much as I can remember was from the, since I could understand, was anti-Semitic. But we had to go on living. So far we were lucky. And sometimes as children they used to beat us up. But
were you beaten up as a child?
Oh yeah, but I wasn't so. I gave it back. We didn't took so much. We were always going from Cheder, so was going in a group. So if they'll start with us, they wouldn't ask for next time.
Do you remember special friends that you had?
I had all of them friends.
Who were your best friends? Who did you play with after school, after Cheder?
So, to tell you truthful, I had so many friends I couldn't remember the names. But we were good kids. If I'll say it myself, we were good kids. We didn't look for trouble. We're listening to the parents. We're listening to the elders. When I was a youngster, when the older people talk, I just listened. I didn't answer them back. If they're right or wrong, I'm listening.
What else do you remember about the home life? Do you remember the observance of any other holidays? You mentioned Simchas Torah.
The holiday for us was like, Simchas Torah was the whole town was like moving on, dancing in the street, half drunk.
What synagogue did you go to?
I go to Ashkenaz, not a Hasidic shul. We had so many shuls in Lodz, so I don't forget even the street what it was.
Did you go, is this the synagogue your father went to also? Was it a synagogue or a shtibel?
Well, whatever you can call it, most I would say it was a shtibel. We didn't have too many members. I mean, it wasn't over their members. We used to give sometimes when they call you an aliyah, so they used to donate so much or so much. Actually, we were very poor, so it just was not to try to make too much expenses.
And who led the services? Was there a rabbi?
Was over there? No, in our shul we didn't have a rabbi. We had a rabbi. If something was going on, a big deal, the rabbi was The city rabbi.
And who was the city rabbi?
The city rabbi, I don't remember exactly, being in that line when we used to slaughter cows, sometimes happens a sircha. I don't know how to explain that in English. But the seichet, who kills the cow, he is not sure to make it kosher or to make it treif. So then he takes the whole thing to the rabbi, and the rabbi decides what to do.
I see. Did your father go to a rebbe for advice, aside from about the cow? Did he go for family matters? Did he consult the rebbe?
I don't remember that. I don't think so too much. He wasn't a chassid, so I don't think he went too much.
What do you remember about Pesach?
Pesach, I remember we used to bake matzahs. There was some kind of place where they used to bake the matzahs.
Where did they bake them?
They had that special ovens, but everything was made by hand.
Did you used to go and help make it, or did you buy it?
No, it all depends how. Some of them used to have people who used to do the whole work, and they used to pay that man just for baking it. But my father didn't have so many time, so he used to pay for the whole thing. Bring it the flour, and they came out matzahs. How much he paid, I don't remember.
Did you have an oven at home for baking?
Oh yeah. But we couldn't bake matzahs in that.
No.
For matzahs.
But was your mother able to bake bread in there during the year?
Yeah.
What about the cholent? Did she make a cholent?
For sure. We didn't have anything but salt for Shabbos.
So tell me about your mother's cholent.
It was very tasty.
And what was in it?
Like I said, whatever's in it. Sometimes a good piece of meat, sometimes a piece of a head, or a lung, or something.
Okay, let's just go back a little bit to Pesach. You had a Seder at your house?
No, we tried to have some guests from my father's side, from my mother's side. We used to, a whole year, save it. Was a special thing, but we had the making wine from raisins, and then we had some kind, I don't know how they call it. Oh yeah. We had, here they call it some kind different chestnuts, what do you call here?
Kind of nuts?
No. I don't remember what to tell you. Most of them was made from raisins, wine.
And
homemade wine.
Who made it?
My mother.
Did you ever get to help with that?
Oh no. We used to allow it some Pesach to get a little bit. You shouldn't get drunk.
So you were the oldest?
I am the oldest.
Where did you sit at the table?
Near to the father.
I'd like to go on now a little bit to what was going on in the rest of the world at that time. Did you have newspapers in your house or a radio?
A radio we had in the hall. We had not too many radios, but newspapers we had, in Jewish language too.
Which newspaper did your father read?
My father read only Jewish.
Do you remember the name of the newspaper?
Ides Estime. That is the Jewish voice.
And was there anything in the newspapers that he was reading about?
We know about what's going on in Germany. We knew about Hitler. We didn't know much what's going on in Russia because everything was covered. We didn't know what's going on. But what was going on in Germany, we knew it.
And
what we could do, we could not. What could we do? We couldn't run away. Where were we going to run?
Did your family ever contemplate trying to leave Poland?
As far as I remember, no. We didn't have any money to go. Few of them Jews, what I remember, they went to South America, like Argentina, Brazil, but very few, very few. So then it was a struggle. First used to go the husband, if he made it, so he brought the family, and I know a couple of people but they couldn't bring their family. So what happened to the family? The same thing, Hitler killed them off.
When did Hitler's rise to power start affecting your life?
To be exact, until it started the Second World War. He started, suppose, when I ran away from Lodz, he started slowly, first taking him to work. Say he's taking him to work. Came a German soldier.
When was this?
In 39.
In 39?
Came a German soldier with a truck, and he needs to go to work.
Who needs to go to work?
He needs workers.
I see.
So he used to take Jews to work. Hunter with the shotgun, and with some kind, he used to have a whip, and they had to go by force.
Did that happen in your neighborhood?
It happened, but like I said, I just ran away. I couldn't stand that.
Okay. Tell me, what made you decide to leave?
My father told me I should run.
When did he tell you this?
As soon as the war started, as soon as the German came to us.
Was that in September of 1939?
Actually, exactly I cannot tell you, but I think the whole war ended in September, because it started for both sides. The Germans started and the Russians started.
So, you were preparing to leave? Was there a plan made?
I didn't make no plans, I just came by luck. I ran from place to place.
Okay, we'll get to that in just a moment. We'll stop here and change tape. Izikson interview, take 2. Mr. Izikson, before we talk about you leaving home, wanted to hear a little bit more about your father. I have the feeling it was a very special bond between you.
You know, we had over there responsibilities. My father worked hard to support his family. And on top of everything, he had one of relation, or some of them when they done business, he had a million on his table every 3 times a day. And being the way we are raised, I used to understand and help him as much as I could. In fact, when I used to come from Zaide, if something he needed help, I used to go help him. He was so primitive that when winter, nighttime, when he had to slaughter a cow, we didn't have electricity. So we had to have candles. To hold the candles, he should see what he was doing. That's how I was attached to him, because I understood what he's doing. You can say that appreciation.
Did he teach you how to slaughter and cut meat?
Yeah. Did
you start to work for him in his business?
I didn't say a word for him. Whatever it was to be done, I did. Whatever I could do.
What kind, did you start on your own?
Nothing, I started on my own. My father was the boss.
But when you were finished with your schooling, Did you work with your father exclusively?
Yeah.
Who decided that you should leave Poland?
My father gave me an advice. He said, the way it looks, he cannot go away. He cannot leave the family, and the other brothers was young. My second brother, he was a yeshiva boy, so he wasn't home.
Where was he at yeshiva?
In Lublin. So that's how he advised me. But it was a lot of, I would say, to go through was a lot of, have to go through many ordeals until I came in Lithuania.
Before you get to Lithuania, tell me about the day you left home.
The day I left home, you can imagine, I cried about 2 days before I decided to do it.
What did your parents think was going to happen in Poland?
In heart we had a feeling that it is the end. But you know, being a Jew, you still hope. But we saw what was going on in Germany.
What was the talk among their friends? Did they discuss the political situation?
They discussed what they can. They discussed what's going on. They saw it, and they had a feeling, but not much what can be done.
So, tell me about saying goodbye and when and where you went.
Like I told you, I cannot remember exactly the date. I came out, so didn't have then a ghetto yet when I went out. So in a way we could go where if the Germans didn't stop me, so I left the city and I started going through the villages.
Did you have papers?
No.
Did you have money?
Not too much.
What did you take?
And then another thing, the money wasn't worth much. They know Poland that doesn't exist anymore. The money wasn't worth much.
What did you take with you to leave home?
My tefillin I took with me.
You davened every day with your father?
We davened every day if we can. If we can, we used to go to synagogue if we didn't have to go out of town for business.
So, tell me about saying goodbye to your mother.
It wasn't easy. She cried for 2 days, the whole family cried. My father said, go and God will help you.
So where did you go first?
Like I said, we started from farm to farm, from village to village.
Were you alone?
Alone. And I asked somebody gave me a piece of bread, that's true. Somebody threw me out from the house.
Did you stop in Jewish houses or?
Most of them places was very seldom where Jew lived. Was non-Jews, most of them.
Where were you going to? Did you know where you wanted to go?
I want to know to going to Lithuania.
Why did you?
Because then they wasn't, Lithuania was neutral. And they took in everybody, not I was the only one. They took on a lot of Polish soldiers, where they were soldiers, and they took them in Lithuania. And they kept them in, they had for them a place, what they call it. It's not was a camp, but they was in a place. And the civilians took care of the Jewish people on there.
How long did it take you to get to Lithuania?
I would say about at least 2 months.
Do you remember any incidents along the way?
Every day was an incident. Every day was an incident, and it's like a miracle.
Yeah. Give me an example of one of the miracles.
One of the miracles was someone came in the house. So he looked at me, he said, "You hungry?" I said, "Yeah." No, so being, the most Polish people are Catholics. So he knew I would need non-kosher. So he gave me bread, and he had over there big ovens. So he roasted some potatoes. I think he gave me a piece of butter too. And I ate, and I rested a little bit, and on the way, when I went out, he gave me a whole loaf of bread, maybe for 10 kilograms. That was a miracle to me.
Do you remember his name?
No, I didn't ask for his name. I asked only for the bread that he gave me. He was a non-Jew.
But he helped you.
Yeah.
So, you said it took you about 2 months to get to Lithuania.
Yeah.
What city did you end up in?
Kaunas.
Is that Kovno?
Kovno.
And tell me what happened when you got there.
When I got there, I got in touch with some, it was like, what they call it, I don't know how to say it in English, but they call it a plating. Refugees was a committee made from the Jewish people from Kovno. And they took care on us. They find places for us to sleep. And they fed us. Some of them, they even gave us other kind of, it wasn't exactly the best clothing, but they gave us sometimes new clothing.
Where did you sleep along the way on this journey?
Well, most of them I slept on the ground. And in some places I slept in a barn, or in the places where the farmers keeping their hay.
Because you told me you left when the war started, and that was September.
When I started at the war, was already, the war I think lasted about 3 weeks. And it took me about 2 months until I came to Lithuania.
Yeah, so what I'm thinking is it was cold.
Oh yeah.
Were you able to sleep indoors?
What can you do? A lot of things you cannot do in normal times.
Yeah. So where did you live then in Lithuania when you got to Kovno?
It was over there places where they kept the Jewish people had places for us.
Were you able to get in touch with your parents?
No. Since I left, I didn't saw my parents already.
Were you able to write to them?
No. We knew, first of all, Lithuania wasn't good friends with Poland. And during the war, it was just, you could write, but we knew that nothing will come out.
So, do you know whether they found out that you arrived safely?
I couldn't tell you that, because they didn't hear from me.
So, how did you start life in Lithuania, in Kovno?
No, like I said, we got only help from the Jewish people.
Did you work?
No. It wasn't enough work.
What did you do there?
We ate, they gave us food, and we used to go to shul.
To school?
Shul.
To shul? And what did you do during the rest of the day?
Nothing, just talking about the good times, maybe we'll come. Hoping we'll survive.
So how long were you living like this?
Until 1940, I think, the 15th of May came the Russians in Lithuania. Then started something else.
So what happened when the Russians
Then
came?
the Russians came in, then we had to, first of all, I was then in the age to be drafted. So I had to register, and they didn't took me yet in the army, but I had to go through the whole process, and they gave me a job, that's true.
And what was your job?
The job was working in a wholesale grocery, was a good job, and my luck was a good job.
And how long, was this for the Russians?
That was for the Russians. And that kept it up, I would say, almost a year, until the Germans came.
Did you have enough to eat in that year?
Oh yeah, more than enough. I wish I could give help to my parents.
And tell me then what happened.
Then what happened, started the war. And that I remember exactly, the 22nd of June, started the war between Germany, started with Russia. And the war started actually Sunday morning. On Monday, I would say 95% Jews from the whole Kaunas tried to run to Russia. But we ran about a mile and the Germans was 50 miles before us. So this way we drove, we walked, and then we stopped in a Lithuanian farmer. They paid the money, no, not money, they gave them clothes to let us stay. And then they decided...
Who were you with?
Oh, a whole group of Jews, maybe a couple of hundred.
Was this an organized group?
No, just came by accident. And they decided to go back again.
Go back where?
In Kauna. So on the way back, some of them, the Lithuanian, killed them. And they grabbed what they had over there. Most of them was on the head of the horses. And they put some stuff, from the house, the better stuff.
And go on.
And no, it was there to go on until somehow they came back. Not all of them. They used to take them out from the road and put them over there where you can call it a slaughterhouse near Kaunas. So they killed them over there.
Did you see any of this taking place? Was this rumors that you were hearing?
It's not exactly rumors, we can hear it what was going on.
You were that close by?
Yeah, about 9 miles. And the ghetto was even less than 9 miles.
Well, were you in the ghetto at that point?
No, at that point I wasn't in the ghetto yet. We came back, so we then settled, there was a Jewish neighborhood, Slobodka. And until a couple of weeks later, the Germans forced to go to work for them and to make ourselves barbed wire.
In the Slobodka neighborhood?
Yeah.
You had to put up the barbed wire?
Yes.
So can you describe the ghetto, the neighborhood and the surrounding?
The whole thing was like this. It was over there a Jewish neighborhood all the time. So, but in the beginning we were 35,000 Jews. So they took a piece from where the non-Jews live, and they united together. And they made a barbed wire all around. And then with the head of their guards,
Who were the guards?
Germans. And the head guards only watched us. From time to time, they took to work after we was already in the ghetto.
And when was this ghetto formalized with the barbed wire?
Oh, I would say in June, maybe in August.
Of 19?
No, maybe in July, I'm sorry.
July of
41.
41. And you described the barbed wire all around the ghetto?
All around the ghetto.
Were the guards SS or SA?
No, I didn't know then the SS. I think it was plain Wehrmacht and plus Lithuanian. I don't know who they were, SS or not, but they were Lithuanian uniforms, and they were our guards.
Were they harassing you?
And how?
Tell me about it.
As soon as we bring something, when you're going out to work, and some of them used to run away and get a little bit food. So when they came back near the ghetto, so they used to strip them almost, and take, if they find anything, plus what they take out, they beat them half to death.
Were you ever beaten?
Oh yes.
Tell me what happened to you.
I don't remember what I had about. I would say exactly, you cannot prescribe, I would say I had about 10 potatoes eaten in my clothes around. So somehow they used to frisk us. So they saw I have something. So they told me to put it out. I didn't say no. I took it out and put it. So they almost beat me half to death.
And who took care of you after that?
Okay, I can say God took care of me. We had over there in my neighbor was a very nice Jewish woman. So she used to, the food what they used to give us, I couldn't have how to cook, so I used to give it to her and she used to cook it for me.
Do you remember her name?
Yes, Shima.
Remember her last name?
Rabinovich. If she's alive, God should repay her. But I didn't see her.
So tell me about where you lived in the ghetto.
That's what I say.
Where? Where in the ghetto did
you see, it was like this. We're supposed to have so many meters, they figured out. So about, in a room like this, I would say about 15 or 20 people lived. So we slept on the floor. Some of them was where it was some kind of a stool or something to sit down. And the married people, they could cook, but I couldn't cook nothing. I didn't have no dishes, no nothing. So I used to give her that ration what they used to give us. I used to give it to her and she cooked for me.
How much was the ration? Do you remember how much food you were
it was
given?
the ration about, I would say in the beginning, they gave us a loaf of bread for a week on a little bit, and what you call that, some kind of grape, I don't know how to say in English.
Greiben?
Yeah.
Was that the chicken fat?
No fat. What kind of fat? Just plain thing when you cook something with this.
Like oil or lard?
No fat.
No.
Just grape. I see that in the stores here too.
Grain of some sort?
Made from barley.
Okay. Something made from barley.
Yeah, made from barley that was. She used to give us, I would say, around 200 grams for a week. And then a little coffee. The German coffee was not coffee, was some ersatz coffee made from something. And salt, about 50 grams. That was the rationing for a week.
And who distributed it?
Oh, it was places. We had a cart, and it was stores in ghetto, but they used to take care of this. The Germans brought it over there in the store, and then you go in with the cart, you could get
And who ran the store?
Jews. When they used to punch the cart, you couldn't go in twice.
Now, was there any medical care?
In fact, we had a lot of doctors, but they didn't have no medicine. Doctors, we had a lot.
And were they working as doctors, or did they have to go out?
No, they didn't have to work. We used to go out, let's say, for example, 100 men or 100 women to work. So it was, every detail was a doctor.
Who assigned the work?
The Germans.
What kind of work
What
did
kind
you
of
do?
work? Most of them was nothing. We built an airport.
Where was the airport?
That was on the other side of Kovna.
And how did you get to the work site?
So we walked, they made us walk.
And who took you there?
It was over there some kind of companies, real German companies, where they were supervising the work.
What were the best jobs to get?
The best job, whatever they told you to do. The main thing was they want to build an airport, but they wouldn't have to go on the front. It's just like a cover-up. Nothing was useful. Winter time, we shoveled the snow. In an hour later was the snow again.
Did you have any radios or newspapers?
No, on the radios we didn't have it. And sometimes they used to get a newspaper, but nobody could see.
Nobody could see it?
No, I mean nobody should see the newspaper. One of the best Lithuanians somehow gave it to the Jew when we used to go to work.
So did you know what was going on in the war?
Not too much. Cannot say we knew what's going on.
Did you have a sense of the holidays? Did you have any religious observance?
Yes, until we were in ghetto, they had a rabbi, a chief rabbi was from Kovnas.
And his name?
Rabbi Sapir. He was the chief rabbi of Lithuania. And he was telling, sending out some kind of slips of paper, we should go to work on Rosh Hashanah or we should go to work on Yom Kippur.
Why was that?
Because he was afraid he shouldn't have an excuse to come and take out a few thousand Jews and shoot them.
But this was before the ghetto was made? Is that what you said, or after?
No, in the ghetto.
In the ghetto.
In the ghetto already.
What was it like for you to work on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur?
No, it wasn't hard. What can you do? We didn't volunteer.
Did you fast?
And Yom Kippur I fast.
And you
Actually, it was easy to fast. I fast almost every day.
Did you work that day? Did you end up working Yom Kippur while you were fasting? What about other holidays? Were you able to observe Shabbos?
No holidays.
Was there any attempt made to get together a minyan?
Everybody was scared. The reason was scared. In fact, we had over there, but it was already occupied. You know, the synagogues and yeshivas, what was in Slobodka, they had to turn in people should live there. So actually there was nowhere to go in the shul. We didn't have no shul.
Did you get together with other people, though, in the ghetto to pray?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. If we want to pray, we could pray when we come to work or before to go to work.
Yeah. You still had your tefillin with you at that point?
Yeah, I couldn't carry them all the day, but I have them in the place where I used to sleep.
Were there any bar mitzvahs or weddings?
No.
Did anybody get married in the ghetto?
Not what I know.
Were any babies born that you knew about, that you saw? Was there a Jewish council that was set up in Kovno?
Yes, they call that Eltorat, the wisest people from the ghetto. But what they can do? They cannot do nothing. They do what the Germans ask them to do.
Did you know the names of any of the people who were in it?
One was Dr. Nabriskin, and what was the other one? Who was a good Jew? Dr. Zacharin, and a third rabbi, I forget his name. A third doctor, I forget his name. So they had the right, if something goes wrong in ghetto, to go out to that German, but he was running the ghetto, to go in his office.
And what was his name? Did you know his name?
His name I wouldn't forget, Jordan.
Okay, thank you. We'll stop here to change tape. Interview tape 3. Mr. Izikson, you were telling me about the Jewish Council and the people who were on it, and that they were able to go. Can you clarify that? If there was a problem in the ghetto, what kind of problem?
What kind of problem? All of a sudden, they didn't let us out to work, so we know it's already a problem. So the Germans used to come, take out some kind, 500,000 people. And actually they told them they could take them to work. But they didn't take them to work. They shoot them over there. We'll find it out later. So before anything, what they call it, the Ältestenrat. So they went over there to find out who was running the ghetto, the town of Kaunas. So he told them, and they couldn't say no. He said, we're going to take out today so many Jews.
Who had to provide a list? How were they chosen?
No, one thing about Kaunas, they didn't give a list. In some ghettos they did. They asked them to give the last, what I was over there, they took away 12,400.
All at once?
Yeah, in one day. That was October 26, 1946. 41. So they asked the leaders from the Jewish people to give them a list. Those who they don't want it, they'll take away. So they said, I'm not going to give no list. You want to take it? I cannot stop you. But to have on my conscience who should live and who should die, they cannot do that.
Tell me about that.
I remember that the third doctor, Kuklansky.
He was the third member.
Yeah, they were the three.
Ältestenrat. So what about that day that they took those 12,000 people? Where were you?
I was there. They put us in a place, and came That came, I would say, I think I'm sure, was only the Germans who supervised. What was do the killing was the Lithuanian. So they used to rechts, links they got over there to shoot them. Rechts, they go back to ghetto. I was there.
And you were on the right?
I was on the right side.
Did you know what was happening?
We understood what happened.
Had you taken anything with you that day?
No, I just so happened, this I could not forget. They used to have 3 shifts. We worked 8 hours and took us about 2 hours to go one way and 2 hours the other way. So happened on my shift I was going it in the morning. So they're supposed to bring us at evening. All of a sudden, nobody came to work from ghetto. So we knew what's going on already. It says the guards, the Germans, changed it. And they kept us working another shift. And then we couldn't go back to our, whatever you call that, the homes. We took us right away on that place.
So that was...
Then they took us out. It was a selection.
Did you know the names of any of the Germans or Lithuanians involved in the selection?
No, I don't. I couldn't, we didn't ask their names.
Were families taken together?
Some of them they took if they see that man can still work, so they took his wife and the children, took away on him, they let it go together. Because they needed workers, and the workers was for nothing. In some of them German companies, they made a profit on this.
Was there ever a special children's action where they just took children?
And the children, they took it, but I wasn't then in ghetto. They took the children, I think, in 44, and they put them in Auschwitz, but I didn't see it. They put them in Auschwitz and they say they bleed them to death, and the blood they made it in blood banks for the German soldiers. But those I cannot verify because I didn't see it. But I think that's true what they told me.
What happened in the ghetto when somebody died?
When somebody died, they used to bury him. In the beginning, used to bury them yet with honor. It was a cemetery. And the Jewish people used to bury them.
So they were able to bury them?
Yes.
Do you know anybody who tried to escape? Were there attempts made?
In fact, some of them did escape, and they went with the partisans, but it's too few to make a whole deal of it.
And then, how long were you yet in the Kovno ghetto?
In the Kovno ghetto, I was over there, exactly, I cannot tell you. I think in 42, it was already after the Jewish holiday that I remember.
Did you observe the Jewish holiday?
No,
then?
no, we didn't observe it, we knew it so far. So they told, they needed people to work in the gravel pits. And we was very scared because as soon as they took us from ghetto, nobody came back. So on my luck was some kind of, he wasn't a big church, but he was something to do with he used to take us out to work. A colonel here, that means he was he had the right for 100 people to take him to work. So he told me, he said, don't be afraid, maybe you'll save your life.
Did you know his name? Do you know?
Luria.
Pardon me?
Luria.
Luria?
I can say that, Lori here. So don't be afraid, he said. I wouldn't recommend, he said, if it wouldn't be. And so I was right. We came over there near Keidane, in a town, what do you call it? A village called Serutiskis. And I worked over there for almost 2 years.
And where did you live in Serutiskis?
Oh, they have for us barracks.
So, was this a labor camp then?
Labor camp.
Did you have a number assigned to you?
858.
858? Was this tattooed?
No.
Or
Just like this.
did they give you uniforms there, or what to wear?
No, we didn't have no uniforms. We had clothes from the ghetto, and then once in a while we can go. They used to take us in the ghetto. So maybe sometimes we smuggled in some food, and on the way back we took clothes because we had plenty clothes from those people who they killed.
Were you ever able to shower or wash up? How was that?
So it happened when I was there. Wintertime we didn't have nothing. But not too far from that place where we used to work was a lake. And the German let us go to wash ourselves.
How did you get from the Kovno ghetto to Serutiskis?
How didn't get it? They took us.
In what? How did
It
you
so
go?
happened they took us in a truck. We were over there, I would say, 80 men and 60 women.
And how long a ride was it?
Oh, about 3 hours, I would say. It was better than 100 kilometers.
And how long were you in Serutiskis? And what did you do there?
I shoveled gravel in the cars
And what were they using it for?
for the airport. They needed gravel to mix with cement.
Did you have enough to eat in Serutiskis?
It wasn't bad.
What did they give you?
What they gave us wasn't enough, but that German, I couldn't say German good, but he needed the work. And he knew if he would let us starve, we couldn't work. So he made sure we should get all what it's becoming, the rationing, plus they gave for hard workers extra. And then from time to time, he knew it, we was running out. Over there was farmers, Lithuanian farmers. Like I said, some of them helped us and some of them threw us out.
Oh, even there you were able to leave the camp?
No, not legally. Not legally, you cannot say we used to be able. Somehow we run out once in a while.
Tell me about the sleeping conditions, the living
Sleeping condition was perfect. We had over there made something from wood and then straw. We slept about 20 men in one room.
And how long, were you friends with anybody through this time?
All of us were friends. In the place where we were together, we are friends.
Did any of your friends survive that
Yeah,
group?
like I said, I noticed when I was in Israel, how many was? 6. We were together in the same camp. They're living now in Netanya.
Did the fact that you were friends help Your survival, do you think?
Look, they didn't have more than I did, and I didn't have more than they did. Why shouldn't we be friends?
So what did you do after a day of work?
After day of work, we was glad we came from work. We used to fall on the tired, fall asleep.
What was the talk in the camp among you?
We didn't know much to talking about. We're hoping.
You said there were women also?
Yeah.
Was there...
The women were separate. The women were separate.
And how many people were in that camp?
Exactly, I would say 80 men and 60 women. So from time to time, some of them just wore out, so they brought other ones from ghetto, and they sent us in ghetto back. But actually, I would say, in that time, nobody was killed.
And how long were you there?
How long I was there? Oh, I would say about more than 2 years. Exactly the dates I cannot tell you now.
Yeah. You had told me that you had your tefillin with you.
Yeah, I kept it.
You kept it. Were you able to pray?
Yeah. Before I went to work, and after I come from work.
And when did you leave Sirutiskis, and where did you go?
When we leave Sirutiskis, so they took us to Dachau.
Tell me how and when this happened.
I think it was sometimes in the beginning of summer, maybe May or in June, 44.
And who came for you? What happened?
What happened? They had an order that they took us away. They put us in cars. And they took
What kind of cars?
Cattle cars.
How many people were in the cattle
50.
car? And how long was the trip?
We were united with people from the ghetto. We were united from, was another ghetto in Lithuania, Zaide, and was a third ghetto was in Vilnius. So we united together us. And they brought us to Stutthof. And from Stutthof, they again selected.
But how long were you on this train, do you know?
Oh, it's a couple of weeks.
Did they stop along the way to let you out?
Oh, yeah. They feed us a little bit.
Yeah. Did anybody die in your train car?
In my train car, so it happened, nobody died.
Did you see that anybody else had died in the train?
Exactly. We didn't have the right to go in another car.
But when you came out to
When
stop...
I came out, the German kept us with his shotgun, and excuse my expression, let us do what humanly needed, and then we had to go back. But to go in from one car to another one, they wouldn't let us.
Did you know where you were going?
Absolutely not.
And what was the talk in the train car? What were they saying?
Then, that's the end. Some of them used to say, why we're suffering? Why they don't shoot us right now? So we were disappointed, discouraged.
Did anybody try to jump out of the train?
No, where are you going to jump? Where? Where you can jump?
So you arrived in Stutthof?
I arrived in Stutthof, and then they select some of them. They left in Stutthof, the most they took to Dachau.
And you were, where did you go?
Dachau.
You went to Dachau. Describe what you saw when you arrived in Dachau.
And when we arrived in Dachau, first we saw was over there big barracks. They call it a block. Was 1,000 men in a block. We didn't have women. Women was on the other side of the camp. And before we went in, we saw over there laying maybe hundreds of dead people, bodies laying. And Dachau didn't have no crematorium.
Do you remember which block you were in?
I would say in block 40.
Did you have a number?
Yeah, 85,558, I would say.
So you got there and you saw the dead bodies and the barracks. What happened? What was the process of entering?
In the process, then they took us, so they not, wait a minute, some of them they sent us in other labor camps, but it was originated by Dachau.
Did you stay in Dachau or did you go?
I went over there to work.
I see. But when you first got there, when you first got to Dachau, did they register you? Did they give you clothing? Tell me about that process.
They didn't give us no clothing, but just they took us to a shower. That they did, and clothing. And they kept us for a few days. We didn't do nothing. Then they took us out to work in a labor camp over there. They call it lager, and they had over there 13 lagers. So started from lager 1 to lager 13, and I ended up in lager 2 for a while. And then they finished the work over there.
What kind of work did you do?
The same thing, nothing, building an airport. And they finished that, they took again us in Dachau.
And how did you, how long were you in Dachau, and what other, when you finished the airport, then what kind of work did you do?
Then they sent us another kind of work for airport, further up.
Were you with any of these friends that you told me about?
Oh, then I fell in with nobody I knew it. We didn't have over there big barracks, we had just made like, they call it Finnish barracks, they can run things like, oh no, nothing, not even, over there they used to give us something to lay down, like made from wood and then a little bit straw. Over there they didn't give us that either, just on the floor, on the ground.
This was in Dachau or in the work camp?
In the work camp.
In the work camp. And how long were you in the work camps, and how did that work?
It worked like this. From time to time I stayed 2 months, I stayed 3 months. But I would say a month before the war ended, I was in Dachau. And they didn't let us do no work at all.
Were you being fed?
Yeah. The same rationing.
Did you know who any of the guards were? Did you know the names of any of the guards?
Oh no.
What were they like?
Like, the guards was away from us. They had towers. And in Dachau was the wires electrocuted. You couldn't touch it. And then, if you want to go from one place to another, they had over there some kind of water, like a tunnel made with water, so you couldn't run away over there. It was deep, about 6 or 8 feet.
Was there an appel, a roll call?
Was an appel every morning and every night.
Can you tell me about that?
What can I say? What about it?
How long did you stand?
All depends what kind of German was. A better one let us go early, and the other one, and all the, then what sometimes happened, A couple of people died. Oh, so they said, you will stay here until we find who ran away. So they'll start looking. Will take about 3-4 hours until they find them dead. Then they'll let us go.
Were you ever sick while you were there?
I couldn't be sick. When you say you're sick, they get rid of you.
What did they do with the dead bodies?
Over there was no. They buried them in a mass grave. And they used to take somebody who wants to go to work. It got to be to volunteer to go to that kind of work. They gave them more soup for this. So they had more volunteers than they needed. So they used to grab the body, put them with a string, and tow them. They had a special wagon for this. And then they threw them in the wagon until they'll bring them over there in that grave, and they threw them, turned over the wagon, and they put a little bit sand over.
Were there any children there?
No.
At that point, were you able to pray?
In that point, we were not Jewish alone.
Who else was in Dachau?
All kinds of nationalities in the whole world you find over there. Italians, Jews, Russians from the mountains of Caucasus. And was even one over there, an American ship's captain. And they told him he was a Jew, but I never had any chance to talk to him.
And what happened as the war was winding down? You said that you arrived in Dachau in the spring of 1944. How long were you there?
Until the 29th of April, 45.
Tell me about the 29th of April, 1945. What were the events leading up to that? Were there any events leading up?
The Americans came in the 29th of April.
And?
No, they treat us good, Americans.
What was the feeling in the camp?
The feelings what we get, I don't know how to say that in English.
You can say it in Yiddish if you want.
It's amazing. The dead was a reason.
And what happened when the Americans...
No, the Americans treat us good. Especially I remember I was already about 4 or 6 weeks since the Americans came. So they weighed me. I weighed 96 pounds.
Where did you go when the Americans came?
No, they didn't took us. They didn't let us go either. We were in the same place.
And did you get medical treatment there?
Yeah, over there you can get medical treatment.
And what did they feed you when they first came?
When they could feed us was what they gave us the first meal. Oh yeah, I remember. The German left over some beef in big, about kilogram, one thing like this. And they cooked soup. They gave a lot of potatoes, bread, how much you want.
Before, I just wanted to ask you, before we get away from Dachau, were there any death marches from Dachau?
Supposed to be, but we were lucky. They didn't have enough guards to send us. That was on Thursday before the war ended. And the date, I don't know, can you figure it out? The Americans came the 29th.
And that was a Sunday, you said?
That was a Sunday. And then was 28th was Saturday, 27th was Friday.
So it's the 26th?
They took the worst criminals, so they had afraid. Jews, Russians, and Germans were the war against Hitler. And they supposed to take us to the mountains of Tyrol. And so happened they gave us food, should last us for 2 weeks. No, first of all we ate the food. And then they didn't have enough guards to guard us, so they tell us we can go back to the barracks. After they kept us about 6 or 7 hours, but it was worth it. We had food.
Okay, so and then the Americans came 3 days later.
The Americans came 3
Sunday,
days later.
and that was your liberation. We'll stop here and change tape. To retake for Mr. Izikson, you were telling me about the liberation by the Americans and what they had given you to eat. Continue with your story.
What the Americans gave us plenty of food. I cannot say the best food, but we had enough. Enough bread, enough soup, and once on some kind of margarine or sometimes butter. We were happy.
And how long did you still stay in Dachau with the Americans?
And I would say about at least 2 months.
And then what happened?
And then what happened, I had over there an uncle, so he decided to go back home. How to go back home? We had to go back to Lithuania. So, in Lithuania, we had to...
How did you get back to Lithuania?
I didn't go back.
Oh.
So they gave us, the Americans, who wants to go, all of us was volunteers. We had a choice in Dachau. You want to stay, they feed you. On the clothes they didn't give me, I don't know why they didn't have yet. Or you want to go, you can go. So to go, they had to give us over to the Russians. So the Americans took us over, couldn't be any nicer. In fact, they gave us some dry rationing we should have over until we come over there. We came over there to the Russians, they gave us to the Russians. So the Russians, first of all, they cut us our hair, and they put us in the barracks, what we were the prisoners, where the Germans kept us as prisoners.
And where was this?
That was in North Austria. South Austria belonged to the Americans. I think it was in North. And they didn't feed us, and we slept over, I don't know where it was, on the floor or somewhere on the field, because it still was warm. And in the morning after, they waked us up, and we walked 3 days. Walked. And some of us still coming out from Dachau, we were weak. So we marched about 3 days.
With the Russians?
The Russians, they didn't have guards, but they told somebody, one of their leaders, to bring us over there. No, they brought us over there in a place in Austria, in the Russian zone, and was already waiting for us, made of a couple of pieces of wood, a little straw on the top, and on the floor was nothing. And that's how they kept us over there the least 2 months. Me, being as a meat cutter, they came out once, they need somebody should slaughter cows for them. So I volunteered. I thought I'll get something for this. So happened I couldn't get nothing. They didn't give us nothing except for the work half a liter milk a day. So what's going on?
So that's all you were getting to eat was milk?
No, soup. We had 3 times a day soup. Made pea soup was more worms than soup than pea, and then they gave us about, I wouldn't know exact, I think 600 grams bread and a tablespoon of sugar, yellow sugar, not. That's how we lived about 2 months. And then came an order, we should take us out. So I didn't know then, but then I found it out. They take us in the coal mines in the Ukraine. No, I was born lucky, I think, in a way. So what happened? They started to load us up in the same way like the Germans did on cattle wagons. And we're going through Austria, we're going through Hungary. We came and stopped. First was over there Romania, then was Hungary, then was again Romania. Before the train stopped, I see a Hasidic Jew with a beard. So I thought I'm losing my mind, I'm seeing things. When the train stopped, I ran over to him. I started talking a couple of words, Shalom Aleichem. So he said, Aleichem Shalom. And he started telling me that if I know where they're taking me. I said, I don't. So he told me that they're going to take us in the coal mines in Ukraine. So then I asked him what to do. I said, don't go with them. I said, where I can hide? He said, I'm going to hide you. No, but I cannot forget up till now, it's quite a few years over, we was going over there with few Lithuanian Jews. They were really Lithuanian Jews. And I was afraid to tell them what's going on. Maybe they would escape, but I was afraid they shouldn't give me out. So I just found one other Jew from Lemberg, from Galicia. So somehow he stayed with me.
And do you remember his name?
Fiesel, Oberländer. So we ran away, and that Jew gave us that Chosed gave us a place where to stay. And we stayed over there. Oh yeah, I remember the date richtig. Sabes Tshuva. That was between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur.
Of
1945. And they was afraid to keep us over there too long, so they sent us, they gave us a train fare, and we winded up, I don't know how they call it, a Radio Mara. And then was over there full Jewish place. We winded up in a Jewish place, and they took us. We went to, I think it was Erev Yom Kippur. They sent us in a public bath.
Who was sending you? Who?
The Jewish organization over there.
In Romania?
In Romania. When they winded up, they stayed over there, I would say, at least 2 months.
So did you get to observe Yom Kippur?
Oh yeah.
How was it for you, that first Yom Kippur?
The first was, you can imagine, the memories what was going on.
Tell me what was going on in your head, in your
what
mind.
was going on, where is my family, where is my everybody. So we stayed over there, I would say, at least 2 months. And then start people the Jewish people started running away from the Russia and from Poland. So somehow they came under a falsified name as Greeks, as Austrian Jews. So they had the right to go back to Austria or Germany. So it was over there for the Russians had their zone, the Americans, the French, and the English.
So where did you go?
I fall down on the lack of mine and the Americans. And over there I lived more than 3 years.
Where? Where did you
In
end up?
Linz, Bindermichel.
Was Bindermichel, what was Bindermichel?
It was a camp. It was no wires, no nothing. But we had over there a few big blocks just for Jews alone.
Was this a displaced persons camp?
You can say that.
So tell me how your life resumed once you got to Bindermichel. What was it like?
In the beginning, the Americans fed us, but you couldn't get fed on this. But slowly came back, and people started getting from the relatives from the United States and from other countries. And they joined, mixed it in, and they gave a lot to us. And then after not quite a year, I married.
Well, before we get to that, did you work
No.
in the DP camp?
Why should I work for the Germans? I could work, but I could get three marks. I couldn't buy for this 2 cigarettes for that money, but I would work.
Were there cigarettes and was there merchandise available in the ghetto?
Everything. That wasn't a gift.
In the DP camp.
Was all kinds of merchandise. You can even buy a mink coat if you got the dollars.
And how did you get the dollars?
The dollars the Jews from Poland brought.
From Poland?
Yeah. They went through how they come to Poland. They were first concentrated by the Russians. And then, that is only I heard, I wasn't in. And then they had over there, what's his name, Sikorsky, made a pact with Stalin. So he let them out from all the camps what he had for them, and he made the Polish army. And doing over there, they had all kinds of, they had made money over there in Poland, in Russia.
Did you find out about your family?
I knew what had happened.
How did you
I
know?
can feel it in my bones like this. And where I'm going to risk my life to go over there back, I couldn't. When they would be alive, they would run away. They would come with all the few Polish Jews, what's left over, they run away from Poland. I think you heard about that in 1945. Few Jews came back from the concentration camp. The anti-Semite was hollering, Abramek, Chekanet Tobe Maidanek, that means Abraham, let's wait for the Maidanek. You heard about Maidanek. And then on top of this, they made a pogrom, killed. You heard about that. So the way you're asking me about my parents, if they would be alive, they would run away too from them.
Did you ever find out for sure what happened to them?
I wasn't there, lucky for me, but I know what had happened to them. I can imagine what happened with all the Jews when they killed.
You started to tell me about your wife. When and how did you meet?
My wife I met after, in the beginning of 46.
Where did you meet?
In Bindermill. She was the same thing like I was. She was in a concentration camp. And we married, I think it was in fall 46. First we performed the Jewish ceremony. Then, according to the Germans, we had to go civil. We were married the 27th of March 1947. And I started better. She had relatives in America. They used to send her something. We didn't struggle too much in Austria.
When you lived in Bindemichel, were you able to get housing together once you got married?
Housing, we had a room. We had, over there was, like you say, for family, the Germans had for family, was 3 rooms, and a kitchen, and a bed. And for us, they gave, if we not married, so 2 men to a room, or 2 girls to a room. And for a married couple, they gave you a whole room. And the bathroom was for all the 3 families, we can say, and the kitchen for all of them.
And you said that your wife had family here.
Yeah.
When were you able to arrange to get here?
We came here in 49. The arrangement took more than 3 years.
And how did you come here?
UNRWA brought us.
Do you remember the name of the ship?
I think Marineflesser, SS Marineflesser.
And what happened when you arrived?
When we arrived, may she rest in peace, my wife had an aunt. So they took us in the beginning.
Yeah. I don't know that you stated your wife's name. What was your wife's name?
My wife's name is Mina Levin.
Okay.
I'm sorry. And they took us in, and the way he ran told the Jewish people helped in newcomers in Proctor.
Oh, so where you arrived in New York?
No,
where did
we
you
arrived
arrive?
in Boston.
I see. And where did your wife's family live?
In Brockton.
In Brockton, Massachusetts?
Yeah. So they gave us, who brought us to Brockton? I think some of them from the organization brought us to Brockton. It's not too far from Boston to Brockton. And they took us in, and she said, when she wrote the letter, she said, she's a very wealthy woman. We shouldn't ask for no help. She's going to help us whatever we need.
Did your wife know this aunt? Had she ever met her before?
No, she never saw her.
So, how did you resume your life here?
I started looking for a job, and she had a good uncle, may he rest in peace, but he was poor. So he took me to get places. Brockton is a city for shoes, they're making shoes. And the most manufacturers are Jews. So he took me from one place to another, and everybody promised, but nobody gave me a job. I remember when we came, I think I had a couple of dollars. So it came to the last $5. So I said to myself, I got to do something. I cannot let a child starve.
When was your baby born?
In July 20th, 1948.
So, and
when we brought him here, he was 6 months old. My wife couldn't go to work. But anyway, I started looking and looking. So my mistake, what I made, I had few nice clothes, so I got dressed, and I started looking from factory to factory. I came in a place where they're making rubber over there. Terrible. It's going on like from the dust, white. A colored man comes out white. So I came in, and I said, and asked for a job. So it happened that the man was an Arab. So he asked me, do you speak Arabic? I said, no, I speak a little bit Hebrew. So he know who I am. So he started asking me from where I come or how I come. I said, I told him then from Lithuania. So he went over and he brought my Lithuanian about 9 feet tall. And he puts me, he comes in the middle and he puts one hand on me, and one hand on him. And he said, and tell him, I don't need no workers, but I know what you went through, and it's bad blood between us, he said, between the Arabs and the Jews. I don't want them to feel bad. I'll give him a job, he said. It works over there, 700 people would make a difference if I'll take over. And so it happened, I got a job, I got almost $20 every week. And I was happy.
When did you resume your religious observance?
I never lost my religious observance. We never had a chance. I used to go to synagogue. When I came already in Bindermill, when I was, we had over there 3 shuls. One Hasidic, one top of the Hasid, and the third one was an Ashkenaz shul.
And which one did you go?
Ashkenaz.
Do you remember the rabbi?
We didn't have no rabbi over there. And they gave us, I got in Bindermill, I don't remember, and I think the joint gave me tefillin, and a talis, and a kudam every day, and we had a minyan every day.
And did you have kosher meat?
No. Not in the beginning.
So were you able to eat?
We ate, we cannot starve.
So how long did you work in that factory in Brockton?
Oh, not too long, not quite a year.
And then where did you go and what did you do?
When I went to Boston, and I got a job as a meat cutter, Jewish kosher meat cutter. They started me off right. From $20, I got $75, clear money, with meat.
Do you remember the name of the company you worked for?
That's not a company. His name was Eli Levine on Dorchester Avenue.
And how long did you stay in Boston?
Until 56.
And then?
And then I want to get rich. I want to go to Baltimore. I went to Baltimore, opened a business. And from all the few dollars what I had, I burned it up.
Did you open a butcher's store?
Yeah. But the competition was too much. I couldn't do competition with them. There was 137 butchers in Baltimore in my time.
So what happened after you went out of business?
I went to work. I got a job over there.
And how long did you stay in Baltimore?
Until 67.
And how old was your son at this point?
Figure it out. He was born in July 48.
So he
was about 67, I would say. He was 18 years old.
Yeah. Did you give him a Jewish education?
Yeah, he went to Hebrew school. He didn't went to Zaide like I did, but he went to the, Hebrew school. I made a bar mitzvah for him.
Tell me about how you felt when your son became bar mitzvah.
I felt very good. I just was missing my family.
Was there any family there? Did your wife have a family?
Nobody. Just friends.
So you stayed until 1967?
67.
And then?
Then I came to Portland.
How did you choose Portland, Maine?
Oh, that was through, I had a friend in Baltimore. So it happened he was a rabbi. So and then they needed here in Portland a kosher butcher. So he recommended me from him to the rabbi. So when I came here, the rabbi gave me supervision. And I opened a little store. In fact, not only supervision, the Hebrew free loan loaned me $2,000 too. I paid them back without interest.
Did your wife work with you?
Just on Wednesday and Thursday.
What did she do?
She had plenty of things to do. She was a good ballerboster. She used to sew and bake. She was a good cook.
And where did you live in Portland?
In Portland, we lived first on Forest Park, and then I moved in a bigger place, Pitt Street.
Did you live in an apartment, a house?
Apartment. I didn't have the time to have a house.
And what about your son?
My son, God bless him, he didn't listen too much to me. I asked him to come to Portland with us, so he didn't want it. So he got married when he was 19 years old. And the rest of the history is not so happy.
Mm. Did he have any children?
Yes, he has a son.
You have a grandson?
Yeah, he goes to Vermont College.
Mm.
So, thank you, God.
Yeah, we'll show the pictures later. And so tell me what has happened to your family. How long did you work?
What work?
How long did you stay in business here?
Until my wife took sick.
And when was that?
Let's say in 87.
And then what happened?
What happened, I took care of her until she died in 91. I had to close the business because they recommended me I should hire all-around nurse. So they asked me $95 for 7.5 hours, plus I used to feed them and give them car fare. So I didn't make so much money I could afford to keep him. So I did everything what I could by myself. In the last 7 months from her life, I sent her to the Jewish home.
Do you think that your experience in the Holocaust influenced or affected your religious observance or your belief in God?
No, never. I always will believe in God.
Why do you think you survived?
That's a $64 question. I survived the war, and Roosevelt died. He didn't survive the war. So you can answer me that question, I don't know.
Do you think about what happened to you in the Holocaust a lot?
I never forget, and I never will forget.
How has it been for you here in America?
Very good. God bless America.
Now that it's 50 years after the war is over, what are your reflections about how your life has been? Do you have a message for the world in relation to all of this?
I'll say in 2 words. Shalom al Yisrael and Shalom al der ganzen Welt.
Can you translate that for?
Not exactly. Peace to Israel and peace to the whole world.
Thank you. Tape 5.
And this is my father. His name is Joseph Yossel. According to the way I understand, he must be born in 1896 or 97. He was a soldier. He was drafted as a soldier for the Tsar. That picture, what you see, was taken when he was a prisoner of war by the Germans.
Approximately what year was this?
I would say 1916 or 1917.
How did you get this picture?
That picture was given to me by a friend of his when they came to the United States. They lived in Chelsea, Mass.
How did they have it?
The way she told me, she used to write letters to him because my Baba, Oleh Shalom, didn't know how to write. So he sent a picture to his mother. On appreciation, he sent a picture to him.
Thank you.
And that is me and my wife, Oleh Shalom, when we were younger. That picture was taken accordingly, I think, in 1946.
Can you state your names, please?
My name is Berl Izikson, and my wife's name was Mina Levin.
And where was this taken?
In Austria,
Thank you.
in Linz. And that is my son, me, and my son, God bless him. That picture is taken in Baltimore, I would say, in 1957.
Could you state your name and your son's name?
My name is Berl Izikson. My son's name is Joseph Izikson.
Thank you.
And that is me, and my son, God bless him, and his bar mitzvah day, and my wife, Alea Shalom. My name is Berl Izikson. My son's name is Joseph Izikson. And my wife's name was Mina Izikson.
What year was this?
That was in 61. That is my daughter-in-law, Diana Izikson. And that is my grandson, God bless him, and my wife, Oleh Shalomina.
And your grandson's name?
My grandson's name is Saul Hamelach.
And when was this picture taken?
The picture was taken, he was born in 73, that was being 74.
Thank you.